as an employer, I really value good decision making. And so I was thinking through, like, I'm Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle. And today is Saturday, 15 August 2026 AD. And how do I, critical thinking and sound reasoning and that kind of thing, and really making sure an employee takes care of themselves. I was like, if I did come to employ people, can I come up with a couple of things that, like, I might, as an employer, want to offer? Like, thinking of it as, like, a dream spread, so to speak, in terms of, like, I can choose any offering and somehow the universe brings it about as to, like, I could offer it to my employees. So this is a self as employer legacy pondering, optional pension, the will and testament. So here I, Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle, make a self as employer legacy pondering, as in I, so a self as employer legacy, as in I myself am an employer, pondering my preference for of my implementing protocols / procedures for optional pension versus will and testament as an employer. So this is like self as employer legacy pondering. So it's like so then how do I treat, like, the humans as humans, the employees as humans, is kind of like how this is a pondering, clearly. So very just basic level, me being true to me, Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle. So this is the things I could implement. 1, optional pension we care for in life. So this is designed to allow the employee to retain control over their finances of their own initiative. Optional means something I offer and they can utilize or not. This allows for retirement / leaving the company on good terms. Yes, so pension is essentially pay after a person has left a company, and, like, at a yearly level. So it's like it's a salary for a retired person who had left on good terms and had a positive impact. This is thinking for myself, right? So for me thinking, I don't know how it works for other companies. I haven't ever had a pension. So other companies I don't have a company. Right. So that really. So there we go. This is about making having it be an option, but not actually coercing somebody to sign up for something that they might not. They might have really pride themselves in saving up their retirement and living off of that later in life. They might have a different job. They might just be like, I'm kind of gonna freewheel, thank you. Kind of a freedom approach to the after. So making it optional, making sure it stays, kind of like true to being a human in the sense of, like, allowing for freedom of choice. This is something I value. Okay. So, and then things I could implement 2, will and testament we care for in life, through death, and after death to the best of our capacity. So a paid for service, ? Like some companies partially or fully pay for an employee to go to college. Something fitting for me as an employer. However, since I support hiring persons without higher education, paying for college is not really relevant. Not to mention I have 0 formal schooling in cardiology. I do not seek to offend / undermine myself, so that's kind of like paying for college would be inappropriate, especially if I were employing people in cardiology, or physiology, where I don't have any formal schooling. That's just, I'm not self-sabotaging, or at least I intend not to be. So there we go. So I came up for this one, a will and testament allowance to let the employee know we support them in life and in death. And I think allowance here is kind of a good one. So it's similar to the schooling thing, and there's a cap here. We'll only do so much. So if it costs more, then you get to pay for that yourself. However, we have an allowance that you can choose to use or not. So in that sense, it's optional as well. But there's like a set allowance. It would be so cool if I had experience and implemented this. So, like, my Elvis Presley did leave me something, and I had some after death experience of how it played out in relation to my soulmate. Yeah, It's completely foreign to me. I haven't ever received anything from a soulmate in their will and testament, so it'd be kind of cool to like, you know, really caring about love and like soulmate relationships. It would be cool, though it is not necessary for me to implement this. I have no will and testament currently. This video was filmed Saturday, 15 August 2026 AD. I was 33 years of age. So those are the two kind of things I'm putting versus each other. Which one? So I'm pondering my preference. They're different. So an optional pension, like, might have an off valve at some point, but it might not. Is eternal youth part of the picture? Right. So in the sense of like, it's an option and they leave the company, and at that point they leave the company, they have to decide yes or no. What is there? Do I make it an option that they can revisit it later and change their mind? So that potentially could be a very like interactive long term. So then maybe put like every G years, they can revisit if they want to keep it or not. And if they're like, we want it always, then they can do that at the beginning. But if they like turn it down, then they can also come back even if they don't want to. No, you know, we don't want it anymore, or maybe like they do want it and after they haven't. So that would be potentially very high frequency. A will and testament would be them as an employee. So if they leave, they don't get this because they're not an employee, right? So for employees, it's a little bit more finite, I think. Yeah, this is a ding from my Medicaid. So which one does Medicaid point to? Yeah, that's right. I'm on Medicaid, so right, me as an employer is not particularly relevant. You know, for my current situation. So I think for this one, it's more finite. I think in terms of like my own proficiencies, I'd say at this point in time and not having experience, perhaps being a business person, the leaning would be towards will and testament, especially since those can be pricey. And since they can be pricey, it'd be nice to actually have enough money. It's a way of making sure the company stays well enough that we can provide an allowance for that. As a way of saying like, of like company ecosystem health, in addition to individual employees, the company itself, that we have the funds to provide that. I think so. It's really, I guess, really a business preference of current. I think the optional pension. So I guess the alternative would be no pension. That's kind of, is that a norm? Is that the norm? I think so. Then an optional pension in that sense is a step up from the no pension. I think I would be a little more cautious on that. Just like in terms of I would need to work on the definition perhaps. And it could have if somebody, so letting go on good terms means that further interactions might be okay. So I guess really enforcing that. So I guess there'd be, as of filming this, a preference for a will and testament allowance. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's a fixed like preference, I suppose. So that's self as employer, legacy, pondering, optional pension, v will and testament.